The thing that everybody's talking about is Tank came out and said he was gonna retire. Is that really happening?
I get where he's coming from, but honestly, no one saw another drama between Floyd Mayweather and Tank Davis coming. Then, Leonard Ellerbe spilled the truth about why Tank decided to retire, and it's all tied to Mayweather. Looks like we might be headed for more chaos. Tank Davis definitely shocked the boxing world when he stepped up to promote his fight with Lamont Roach Jr. A lot of people thought Tank Davis would lay out a plan for a busy and exciting 2025, more fights, big events, and a push for growth under his GTD promotions. But everything came crashing down when fans realized the big announcement was his retirement. At 30 years old, Davis is set to face Lamont Roach Jr., 29, on March 1st, defending his WBA title for the second time. Fans were left questioning if he was falling out of love with the sport. When asked how many times he'd step into the ring next year, Davis replied, 3 times, 3 fights for sure, before dropping the bombshell. He's retiring after 2025. He explained that things change when you have kids, especially girls, and that's affecting his decision to step away from boxing. Fans had hoped he'd carry the momentum from his June win against Frank Martin, but instead, he gave them an ultimatum. Next year is his final run. For many, it seems like boxing is starting to lose its spark for Tank Davis. He didn't hold back when discussing his retirement decision in an interview with Fight Hub TV. When asked about his future in the sport, Davis was open and honest about how he's feeling, sharing that the excitement just isn't there anymore. It's clear he's ready to step away, even though it's hard for fans to accept. Davis admitted he lost interest in the sport, saying he had grown tired of it. He didn't hold back, calling boxing trash and garbage. His frustration with the sport was clear, and these comments didn't sit well with many fans, especially those who had been pushing for him to take on tougher opponents and fight the best in his division. But for Davis, it wasn't about the titles or the competition anymore. He found comfort in making smart decisions, earning money, and doing what he loved most, knocking out opponents. At that moment, retirement wasn't even on his mind, but now it's become a reality. It's a question that keeps getting asked. How will fans remember Tank Davis, and how will they judge his legacy? Davis tackled this head-on in conversation with Fight Hype. When asked if he'd rank himself among the greatest, the WBA champion replied, "I don't even care about that, bro. I don't even care about that." He made it clear that, for him, being from Baltimore means he'll always be the greatest in his own eyes, saying, "I will forever be a G to myself." While fans have just one more year to witness Davis's explosive style and his trademark backflips in the ring, his upcoming fight with Roach Jr. doesn't necessarily mean the end of his career, hopefully. Tank Davis can fit in a few more fights in 2025 before officially ending his pro career. What's more, the lightweight champion is still under a multi-fight contract with PBC, which includes 6 or 7 fights. There's also reportedly a clause in his contract that can give him some flexibility moving forward. There's still uncertainty about what will happen to Tank Davis's contract, especially with a potential fight against Shakur Stevenson on the table. No one knows for sure how his contractual obligations will play out, and it remains to be seen if Davis will stick to his retirement plans. As for Shakur, Davis had some strong words, questioning what the young fighter has really accomplished in the sport, saying, "What has he done? He hasn't done anything." Meanwhile, Davis is set to return to action at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn this March, where he'll defend his WBA lightweight title against the current super featherweight champion. At the launch press conference for his upcoming fight, Tank Davis revealed that he plans to retire by the end of 2025 and has named 3 fighters he hopes to face before hanging up his gloves. The first of those will be Lamont Roach in March. When speaking to Fight Hub TV, Davis also shared that his other 2 picks include Ryan Garcia and a rising star, although he didn't get into specifics about the third opponent yet.
Bet. How much you want to bet? Because I came up here alone. How much y'all want to bet? How much you want to bet? Just call it out. Huh? 100? That's a bet.
Davis and Ryan Garcia first faced off in April 2023, with Tank dropping Garcia twice on his way to a dominant 7th-round knockout, handing King Reed his first professional loss. Currently, Garcia is serving a 1-year suspension after failing a drug test ahead of his fight with Devin Haney, but he'll be eligible to return to the ring in April 2025. This could open the door for a highly anticipated summer showdown with Davis. Tank also mentioned that he'd like to face Teofimo Lopez before he retires. When asked about it, he didn't hold back, saying, "Yeah, I do. I'll slap the hell out of him when I see him." There's been a lot of chatter about Tank Davis possibly being afraid of Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. But when it comes to Lopez, the current WBO super lightweight champion, he won the title against Josh Taylor in June 2023 and has successfully defended it twice since. A potential fight between him and Davis has been a topic of discussion among boxing fans for years. One fighter who has faced both men has even offered his prediction on how a clash between the two would go. As for Tank's upcoming fight with Lamont Roach, Davis has been preparing the fans for what's to come. He officially announced the fight at a press conference, which just concluded. There's been plenty of debate about his choice of opponent, and when Roach took the podium first, he shared his thoughts with the public about what lies ahead. That's a bet. "I'm excited to be a part of this, and come March 1st, it's going to be a great event," Roach said. "Right now, I'm not really into all the back and forth, but come fight night, it's going to be a show. Same results? We'll have to wait and see. We've got 3 months to prepare, so it'll be a good one. This is a huge opportunity, and we're going to take it." Roach continued, "Everybody knows what I'm here to do. If you don't, well, you're in for a surprise. I know Tank won't be surprised. I think he actually took this fight because he knows what's coming." Roach didn't hold back, addressing the critics. "All the naysayers and people talking about this fight, I think Tank actually took it because he knows I'm a dog, and he wants to prove his skills against someone like me. So, when two dogs get in the ring together, we'll see what happens, and obviously, I'll be the one coming out victorious." Then it was Tank's turn to speak his mind. "As for your next fight, you've got skills, even though you're in a smaller weight class. But I feel like Lamont has his own strengths, you know." Both fighters then took a seat for a more in-depth conversation, diving deeper into the fight and everything surrounding it. Tank spoke about the fight with Lomachenko falling through and why Roach made the most sense as his next opponent. "He's got skills, even though he's in a smaller weight class," Tank said. "I feel like Lamont has what it takes. He's actually one of the guys I came up with in the sport of boxing, and he's still doing well. A lot of the guys who started with us are no longer in the picture right now, so people might not really know him, but he definitely has the skills."
In your next fight?
He has skills. Even though he's at a smaller weight class, I feel as though Lamont have, and he's one of the guys that...
It's definitely a top opponent. Tank also expressed his confidence in his own skill set, saying, "Skill-wise, I bring a lot to the table. I can adapt. I can fight different styles. I'm tough, witty, smart, and witty. Whatever it takes, I'll pull out my bag of tricks." The rest of them, either they were one-trick ponies, or they just didn't have it. Meanwhile, one person who seems to fully understand what's going on with Tank Davis is his promoter, Leonard Ellerby. In conversation with Claus from the laboratory, Ellerby shared his perspective, saying, "I get it. Things are different when you have kids. It changes your life completely. He sees that now." Leonard Ellerby shared his thoughts on Tank Davis's retirement announcement, acknowledging that Davis now sees things differently than he did 6 or 7 years ago. "If that's what he said, that he's retiring, we all heard it," Ellerby said. "Life is so much more than just something you do for a living. You've got to respect the fans who pay their money to see you fight, but you also have a life outside of boxing." He added that while fans may want fighters to keep going, they often don't consider the toll boxing takes on a person's health once the spotlight fades. "Boxing is a brutal sport," Ellerby said. "Many boxers from the past have paid a heavy price for it." Ellerby continued, pointing out how many boxers have been taken advantage of in various ways and have suffered long-term health issues as a result of the sport. "They've gone through a lot of health problems, permanent things," he said. "I understand the philosophy of getting into a sport, leaving your mark, and then walking away. Everyone's opinion is different, and everyone has different goals in life." However, not everyone agrees with Ellerby's perspective. Tim Bradley, on the other hand, labeled it the Tank Protection Program. Bradley was blunt in his criticism, saying, "This dude looks like a total fraud. Put him in the ring with someone who can punch back. This is the Tank Protection Program." Tim Bradley continued to voice his frustration, saying this has been a long-standing shows up from lower weight classes to face Tank. He looks spectacular, but it's a cover-up. I'm telling you right now, I think Tank is a good fighter, but they're acting like they don't have opponents for him. Yes, you do. Bradley made it clear that he believes there are other contenders who could challenge Tank, but the matchup choices have been carefully managed. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Tank is a good fighter, he repeated, calling out the lack of genuine challenges. Bradley didn't hold back, suggesting a potential opponent for Tank that many fans would be excited about. They say they don't have an opponent for him, but yes, you do. His name is De Los Santos. The fans wouldn't mind paying for a De Los Santos fight, but they're covering something up. I don't know what it is. Is it the power of De Los Santos? Are they worried about that? He also pointed out the contrast in Tank's actions, referencing how Tank was all talk when Shakur Stevenson made De Los Santos look impressive in the ring. Tank did a lot of talking when Shakur Stevenson put everybody to sleep with De Los Santos, but he won't step in the ring with him, Bradley said. That's the fight everyone wants to see. No one's going to pay for this pay-per-view with these other matchups. Bradley continued, emphasizing that while people might show up for Tank's fight with Lamont Roach because of Tank's star power, the pay-per-view numbers wouldn't reach the heights Davis's team might hope for. People are going to show up because it's Gervonta Davis, but those pay-per-view numbers you're chasing, it's going to be a wishing well. He doubled down on his point, adding, his name is De Los Santos, and the fans wouldn't mind paying for a De Los Santos fight, but they're covering something. I don't know what it is. Is it the power of De Los Santos? Are they worried about that?
Fight Ryan again. If they're not on some host, I text that ass again. Tell them boys to give me 150 M's. I'm coming. You know what I mean? When I start shrimping.
Leonard Ellerby, Tank's promoter, also weighed in on the situation, suggesting that this is why Davis seemed upset when he wasn't invited to a recent major event. The implication was that Davis, as the reigning World Boxing Association lightweight champion, might feel sidelined or overlooked in the face of these ongoing matchups and promotional strategies. At the prestigious Ring Magazine Awards, where boxing legends and top stars gathered to celebrate the best in the sport, Gervonta Davis found himself upset for being neither recognized as a winner nor invited to the event. The award ceremony, held at the historic Royal Naval College in London, attracted a who's who of the boxing world, with names like Alexander Usyk, Canelo Alvarez, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Lennox Lewis, and many others in attendance. Despite Davis entering what he's described as his final year in boxing, the Ring Magazine, now under the ownership of Al Heyman's Premier Boxing Champions, PBC, didn't extend an invitation or acknowledge him as part of the celebration. This snub seemed to stir frustration in the reigning World Boxing Association lightweight champion, who had expected more recognition given his status in the sport. Davis didn't hold back when he reacted to being snubbed from the Ring Magazine Awards. He shared an iconic image from Matchroom Boxing's Instagram on his own account, adding a fiery caption that called out the entire event. In his post, he questioned, why didn't they invite everybody, and slammed those who were present, accusing them of bum eating. He specifically called out Eddie Hearn, referring to him as a little rat and insinuating that Hearn thought he had hit the jackpot. Davis's frustration didn't stop there. He urged the people in the room to fight each other since they were all from the same heavy-hitting roster, further showing his disdain. His pointed remarks clearly illustrated his growing discontent with the politics surrounding the sport, especially with those who seem to be more focused on alliances than the real competition. Davis continued his rant, calling out fighters like Devin, who he referred to as my guy, but then criticizing the way others in the industry were treating him. Alright, cool, y'all want me to fight over there, but they want to act like this guy is good for boxing when he's not, Davis said, expressing his frustration. He went on to claim that Devin and others in the sport weren't doing enough to uplift the fighters from their own communities. This guy knows nothing about boxing at all, and this is who they're turning to, bunch of bum eaters, Davis fired back. He didn't stop there. Davis also lashed out at fighters heading to Saudi Arabia for massive paydays, calling it out as a move made only to secure money, with little regard for the sport's integrity. They have to go over there to make money, and still, he trailed off, implying that even with the big checks, these fighters were still lacking in real substance. Davis's defiant stance continued as he made it clear that he doesn't need to chase the big paydays in Saudi Arabia. "I sell where I'm from, idiot. America, send me something first," he fired back, emphasizing his belief in his own marketability in the US. "I don't got to fight. You know why fighters are going over there? Because they can't sell here," Davis added, further calling out those who had to take those overseas deals. He made it known that he doesn't need to go abroad to make a name or money in boxing. "I can sell here, so I ain't gotta go over there. They're going over there getting their ass kicked fighting in front of a total of 19 people, but because they're rich, it's cool," he remarked, sharply criticizing the allure of the money over the quality of the competition. While his approach may come off as blunt, there's something to be said about Davis standing firm on his value and not being swayed by the money that Saudi Arabia offers. It's a tough stance to take in an era where many boxers are quick to jump at massive paydays abroad, but Davis is clearly confident in his ability to draw attention in his home market. That said, his outspoken comments may not endear him to everyone, and it doesn't always make for the most popular image among fans or industry insiders. Still, it's a reminder of the very real dynamics in the sport, where money, power, and pride collide. March 1st, 2025, in what promises to be a highly anticipated matchup. While Davis continues to stand firm on his principles, calling out those who head to Saudi Arabia for big paydays, his critics argue that his comments reflect a bit more resentment and concern for the integrity of the sport, slamming other fighters who are simply navigating the business side of boxing, networking, and securing their futures, especially when it involves taking advantage of international opportunities, could come off as jealousy rather than genuine criticism. Davis has always been a fighter who's carved his own path, but his remarks about others making business moves overseas seem to border on dismissiveness of their hustle, as opposed to offering any constructive critique for the state of boxing. Still, his words undoubtedly stir the pot and keep him at the center of attention, fueling discussions about his legacy and the direction of his career. Fans will be watching closely as he heads into this fight with Roach Jr., as it could offer more insight into his motivations and whether he's truly ready to walk away or has more to prove in the ring to point. While Roach is certainly a skilled competitor, most fans and analysts feel that Davis is in a league of his own, given his explosive power and track record. The lack of a clear, high-profile opponent has left many wondering if Davis is simply going through the motions, or if he's gearing up for something bigger, perhaps his final run before retirement. The criticism surrounding Davis's choice of opponents isn't new. His career has been marked by some matchups that felt more like stepping stones than true tests. This has left a lingering question over his legacy, whether he's fought the best of his generation or just selectively faced opponents who, on paper, wouldn't offer much resistance. As a result, his mood seems to be reflecting some frustration, and his reactions at recent press events have been less than composed. The Instagram post about the Roach fight being cancelled caused a stir, but as it turned out, the fight was still very much on, with PBC stepping in to clear the air. Whether this was a moment of Davis venting his frustrations or just a mistake remains to be seen, but it adds another layer to the unpredictable nature of his career. With his stated intention to retire in 2025, fans are eager to see if he can reignite the fire that has at times seemed absent. However, questions remain about what the future holds for Davis, especially in the eyes of the boxing community. Will his final fights be against the opponents fans expect? Or will his retirement plans take him in a different direction entirely?
The thing we haven't seen yet is some of the big Americans, Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson.
I want it, and I send message now from you to Heyman. Let's do